Gather the ingredients for your soup. I've got some Parmesan basil chicken sausages. You can use pork sausages if you like, but this is what I had on hand, so I'm going to make sure I use those up. They're already fully cooked and seasoned, so they're going to add lots of nice flavor. Now you can't tell, but I am crisping up some bacon in the pan. Okay. Now, I'm recording this because my audio was crap whenever I was cooking, but if I could do this again, I would slice those chicken sausages just a little bit thinner. Also, because this was my first time working with them, I didn't know how the skin would react, but I would have taken my knife and just sliced through the chicken sausage to remove the casing. I didn't really like that too much. It still tasted good. It was fine, but it would have been a better experience if I didn't have that. And the sausage ended up being just a little too thick for my liking. I probably would have taken those bigger chunks and just sliced them in half. I think that would have given me the ratio of that I was looking for. So yeah, this was my first time making it. Ended up tasting really good. Okay, so I just put everything in the pot, and what you see right there underneath the cutting board is a damp paper towel. It helps keep the cutting board from sliding around. It's a good safety tip. So I'm just putting that in the pan over medium heat with my bacon and letting it brown and get it some good texture so it's not just boiled. And then that's going to add flavor. And just taking the flat side of my knife and the heel of my palm, and I am cracking open the garlic. This is going to make it a lot easier to remove the skins. Still not used to my nails. The next thing I like to do once I have that, and off to the side I have a bowl for garbage. Just makes it a lot easier rather than walking back and forth to the garbage, just to put everything in one spot and then throw it away whenever you're done. So once I'm clean knife, okay, I just kind of take the root edge off. It tends to stay tough even after it's cooked, and I just like to remove it. Then I'm going to slice up the garlic first, and then I'm going to run my knife the opposite way and roughly chop the garlic. I like to take my palm and place it on top of the knife with my fingers extended, so that way I don't run any risk of fingers meeting knife, and that is not fun. And I'm just going to run it through. This is why a chef's knife is good, because the shape, it allows for that rocking motion rather than a long, thin knife, which is better for slicing, right? So you get the slicing, but you also get the chopping action because of that. It makes it very useful in the kitchen. So I just run it back and forth through the garlic until I get it to my desired size. Then I'm going to put it off to the side. If I would have done this again, I would have gotten a big plate and just put everything on the plate. My kale came next. So what you do with kale is wash it, dry it, Okay. And then you take the leaves off the stem. So those thick green stems are tough, and you can boil them, sure, but they're not that great. So it's easier to remove just by running your fingers along like that. And the stem, and what's left of that stem, that will get tender whenever you cook it. So I'm just gonna de-leaf all of these stalks of kale and then roughly chop them. If I planned better, I would have had a bigger cutting board so that stuff wasn't falling all over the place, but hey, I had less dishes to clean up, so I'm okay with that. Okay, here I am just roughly chopping the kale. This recipe is so easy. I love how there's just a few things for you to chop, and then the rest is just dump into the pot. So now the chicken sausage has been steaming up the pot. But I've been crisping up the bacon and browning up the chicken sausage. And I'm going to take the bacon out of the pot, because I'm going to let it drain. And I'll chop it up after I get the kale in the soup and put it back in the soup. So if you're looking at the bottom of the pot, it looks like, oh no, you burned it. Oh, I don't have enough oil. There's not enough oil from the bacon, so I'm adding just a little bit more avocado oil. It's a higher smoke point, less likely to burn or go bad oil. And then I am gonna take a bag of seasoning blend. It's just got celery, onions, red and green bell peppers, and some parsley frozen. I let that thaw. It's gonna add liquid. And so what I was saying about the bottom of the pot, all that brown stuff is called fond. And that has so much flavor in it. Okay, right now, whenever I scrape it, it seems pretty tough to get off. But whenever you add something like wet, moist, like these frozen veggies, okay, or like an onion with some salt, something like that, the moisture from that helps break up. So you can already see it happening right now. Starts breaking up that fond, and then that's going to add so much flavor to whatever it is that you're cooking. So that's one of the reasons why you like browning your meat first. It also imparts flavor to the meat as well. Okay. So, gonna Continue scraping anytime I come across any part of the pot that isn't, detached a fond. I'm going to scrape. And I'm going to put the lid back on. And you can see once I remove the lid, that was about 3 minutes of cooking that a lot more liquid came off. Okay, so the veggies gave off a lot more liquid, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook 3 more minutes on medium heat with the pot lid off. After I've done that, it reduces by about half. And this whole recipe is done on medium heat. Now I'm going to add the garlic and the kale, and I'm going to stir to incorporate and get that liquid on it. And like I said earlier, my chopping board was too small, so it took a little while. Oh, I didn't start to incorporate. I guess I do that later. I'm full of surprises. There it goes. So even though it looked like it was a ton of kale and before, after it steams for about 5 minutes, it reduces in volume a lot. Now stir to combine. And then we're just going to add everything else into the soup. Okay, this is a package of sun-dried tomatoes. I almost got the ones packed in oil because fat is flavor. Okay, it would have been great flavor, but I didn't like it because it had canola oil. Okay, so I just did the packaged ones instead, like that. I got a good brand of chicken broth. It's only got ingredients that I recognize, no weird yeast or MSG or anything like that. Just good stuff. And then add that in, start to mix. And this is where I mess up. Nice little splatter occurred. It was okay, no big deal. It's kind of funny. Some things are better done off to the side. And then I'm just going to add in the gnocchi. They are going to cook in about 5 minutes. So what I want to do is stir those to combine. I want to cover them and bring that pot up to a boil. Now it doesn't look like that much liquid, but it's a wide pot, so there's a lot of surface area. And this is a pretty hearty soup. It's one of the reasons why I'm making it. I think my boyfriend would like it, and I know he wants a good meal. And I like this. It's full of simple ingredients and it's filling, which, what more could you want in a soup? So after 5 minutes, these are all cooked. I'm just mixing it around again. Now, kale is a hearty green. It can be cooked for a while. So I like this soup because the longer it cooks, the more the flavors meld together. So while the kale is cooked at this point, which I did end up cooking it about 8 minutes, right? Even though the directions only said about 5. You could continue to cook longer. Now I added right here a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And I have not seasoned this at all. Okay. So I need to check for seasoning. Oh, and the bacon. Now there's garlic in here. There's the flavor of the sausage and of the bacon, which was cooked down. The sun-dried tomatoes definitely have a very distinct flavor. I put in a whole package. I probably, if I would do it again, would just add in a half package. Now I'm going to taste to season to my preference. And this is a pretty big bowl of soup. So you can always add more salt, but you cannot take salt away. So here I'm just placing it in my palm because I don't want to salt directly into the pot. What happens if I slipped and, poured too much? Like I said, you can add more. Okay, but you can't take it away. So I'm going to taste it again. Normally, I'd have a ladle, but this is my soup for my family. I am gonna, double dip the spoon. Okay. But if it was with company, no, I wouldn't do that. Now, after this, I realize it needs more salt. So I add just a little bit more salt. And that was good. That's what it needed. And then I add some freshly cracked black pepper. You can see the soup bubbling away. And then that's pretty much it. It was good. I enjoyed this. It got thicker the longer that it cooked. So if you want to let this simmer for another 15 minutes, it becomes even heartier. The starch from the gnocchi, which are little potato pasta dumplings, they release out into the soup the longer that they cook, and it makes it a thicker soup. It's really good. So enjoy.